that with a smile, you know, and that got me over. That got me over a lot because you know, people always want to be, you know, oh, you know, he's messed up, but at least he's in a good mood, you know. So that, you know, it got me over. And then eventually one day to get back to New York, I was like, you know, I was involved with a lot of things in New York because since I was painting very hardcore in the streets, you know, the streets are very hard. You know, it can eat you up and spit you back out. You know, so I was living a hardcore life. You know, I was painting, stealing my paint, running from the police. You know, and like NWA, niggas with attitudes, but Spanish with attitudes. So one day I got a phone call, you know, and there was this French guy. He was like, oh, Philippe, I want to meet you. And I was like, France? Where's that? Yeah, I'm from France. We do graffiti in France. I was like, yeah? Why? You know, because in my head, graffiti could only be happening in New York. I didn't really think people in Europe would want to do graffiti. Because my graffiti, for me, graffiti was, you know, it was my, how can I say, it was my way to identify myself in my environment of where I was coming from, which was drugs and drug dealers and crime and being oppressed and living in neighborhoods where, you know, art and culture wasn't accessible. So I got this phone call from this French guy. I was like, yeah, I want to meet you. We do graffiti in Paris. I was like, yeah? So I was like, so I met him downtown on 86th Street. And I met this like French guy, and he had some like European clothes. And I was like dressed out sort of like I just came back from Iraq. You know, I was like, I had camouflage pants and I was full of paint, and I looked like I was a drug addict. Yeah, man, so you come from Europe. Wow, that's cool. So roll up a joint. Oh, we don't smoke. You don't smoke. You don't smoke? Get some beers. Oh, okay. We'll buy one beer. That's beside that. Shit, man. They're really clean. It's really like, wow, you guys are really straight. Yeah, we do graffiti in Paris, and they show me pictures, and I was like, wow, look, you guys do some crazy stuff. Because they had their own style. They had been developing their own style because they didn't have the same sort of influences that us New Yorkers had. We had more of an aggressive, like more of a rage inside us, and they were painting from a different perspective. So finally he said, yo, if you want to, you can come to Paris to visit us. I was like, Paris? Yeah, all right, I'll go. So then I went to Paris. And then from there, I seen what they were doing. And since I was a little bit sort of like burnt in New York, everybody kind of knew me and everybody wanted to beat me up and stuff like that. I was like, yo, maybe I can hide in Paris for a while and reinvent my own whole life. You know, start all over again. Because graffiti was starting to suck me up. You know, and I was almost going to like, you know, to the point of no return. So I wound up being in Paris, and then from there, I started to expose in like galleries and stuff like that. And in the beginning, the reception was just a very small community of people, of collectors that were more or less supporting the artists and admiring the talent. And we were a very, like, say, underground community because there was the graffiti art community, and then there was the established art community, which was also like, you know, very accessible to an elitism. And since we were considered more or less to be the street people, we were, you know, pushed to the side. But nevertheless, we had passionate people around us because it's only through passionate people that you grow. So it started to grow and grow and grow, and I painted in the mural of Berlin, and my style also developed in Paris. It became, I started to have different phases, like Picasso. He had the period of blue, he had the red period, and you know. And this is a period right now that started more or less from not rejection, because rejection can be good. I talked about that recently with my friends. Oh no, not recently. I got it from hearing from the grapevine, rejection. Rejection can be a good energy, like when you reject it from people and people tell you it's no good and you'll never succeed. Well, for a period I was always in that elitism. They were saying that graffiti didn't have a value in canvas, you know, the whole form of lettering and writing your name and stuff like that. That was what I was absorbing from people, you know, and I said to myself, that's interesting, you know, that people do not, you know, especially Western civilization, do not value the art of lettering. So I took some trips to Hong Kong, to China at a period, and I had noticed that in China, they had been, for centuries, they had been writing calligraphy more or less in black and white and stuff like that, and they had a value for their calligraphy and their meditation writing Chinese characters, and they would hang it as a form of meditation. So I said, hey, I'm going to try to do the same thing. I'm going to take, because I consider that I have good handwriting style, that I can write my name very well, from years and years of writing it on trains and climbing and spraying. And I said, hey, you know, I'm going to start writing my name and I'm going to start hanging it. And instead of like, you know, and turn the whole way people look at it. Instead of people, you know, pay to erase my stuff in the street, I'm going to get people to pay for my canvases. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the whole thing. And instead of like, you know, what you see over there in the street, somebody goes over it, I'm going to get people to hang it in their houses. You know, and the same way that graffiti writers do it, you know, they don't just put their name one time, they do it a lot. And then that's the whole art of becoming a king. I'm going to do it on canvas. So with this type of work that I've been developing in the last, let's say, 3 years, that is this constant repetition and energy that I put into these canvases that I'm showing here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you for coming. Yeah. So long.